Hello, I'm Jason Walcott and this is Walcott Fine Art. In today's video, we're going to continue looking at different colors in oil paint, namely green. So I'll go over a few options that you have for tubed greens and you can decide if any of them are right for you. So let's go explore with green. Hey everyone, glad to have you back with me again today for this next video. Now we're going to continue with our videos at looking at different colors in oil paint, and today we're doing green. So now green is a kind of a funny color because I'm going to preface, before I show you all this by saying I actually recommend, if you're starting out and learning to paint, that you don't buy a green color. Start by learning to mix your own greens from blue and yellow. And in the next few weeks, I'll actually do a video on mixing greens from blues and yellows rather than using a pre-made tubed green. But that said, let's take a look at some common tube greens that are out there that you can try. And see which ones you like and which ones you might want to use. Now, there's not a whole lot actually of single pigment greens. As I've said before, I'm a big fan and a big proponent of using only or mostly single pigment colors on your palette. And the reason again that is because when a color is made from a single pure pigment, it's not mixed from 2 or 3 different ones, then you'll always get the cleanest and brightest color mixtures that you can get from those colors. And you can it's always easy to dull a color down if you need to, with black or a complementary color or something like that. But if you need a really bright color and you don't have it, you can't mix it. Like I said, I always recommend starting with single pigment colors only. And but there are a couple of mixed greens here that I'll show you just to be complete. But the first and most common green that you'll see here is phthalo green. Now, phthalo green is a very intense, strong, dark, bluish green. And again, probably it looks black here to you on camera, and it actually even looks black to me just looking at it because it's so dark and intense. But you can see if I spread it out thin, you can kind of start to see the green color a little bit there. Now there's another color that I actually don't have here that's very similar to phthalo green. It's called Viridian. Now, Viridian's a 19th century color. They still make it. You can still get it. It's nearly the same color as phthalo green. The only difference is it's not as intense and it's not as saturated. So Viridian is a little bit easier to control in mixtures. But when you mix it with white by itself, it'll have a little bit of a grayness to it that phthalo green doesn't have. So that's one that's not on here that I won't be showing you today, but you can try it if you want. That's Viridian. But phthalo green, watch what happens when you mix it with white. It turns into this bright aqua Kelly green that's really, really intense. And the reason I want, if you're just starting out learning to paint, the reason I want you to be really careful with this color is it's not at all a natural green. It's not a green that you would most likely want to use for landscapes, especially if you're painting trees and foliage. The only spot you possibly could use this pure color just mixed with white is maybe in a seascape. If you were painting a tropical seascape, and sometimes tropical waters have that beautiful aqua green blue color to them, then you might get away with this. Do not use pure phthalo green to paint leaves on trees because it's a very unnatural looking color when you do that. And again, I'm sure it's not showing up on camera quite the same way. But again, I'll post a picture at the end so you can see what it really looks like. Now, the second color on my palette, this is just the standard phthalo green, which is, what is it again? It's on here somewhere. It's pigment green. Why isn't it on the tube? Oh, there it is. Pigment green 7 is your standard phthalo green. Now, there's another variant to phthalo green, which is pigment green 36. And it's an example of this here. Gamblin calls their version of it phthalo emerald, but you'll sometimes see this same color called phthalo green yellow shade. For Winsor Newton, it's Windsor green yellow shade, and then just plain Windsor green would be the standard phthalo green. But this is a little bit of a variant on the phthalo green, because this is phthalo green is brominated copper phthalocyanine, and then phthalo yellow green or phthalo emerald, they also add chlorine to it, and it makes the color a little bit more yellow and slightly warmer. So phthalo emerald or phthalo green yellow shade, I think you can probably see already as I'm spreading it out, is a little bit less blue and more warmer than the standard phthalo green. So if you mix it with white, you definitely get a more warm green color that isn't quite as cool as the regular plain phthalo green. I will use both on my palette. I find that I guess the standard phthalo green is a little more versatile because I can always mix yellow into it to make it warmer. But if you're the phthalo emerald or phthalo green yellow shade might be a better color to try if you're just starting out, because it is a little bit greener. It has less of that unnatural bluish tone to it. If you want to use phthalo green for landscapes, always mix it with either a yellow ochre or a little bit of black. And yellow ochre or some color earth tone like that to tone it down. Don't use it raw because it just doesn't have the right look to it. So that's phthalo emerald or phthalo green yellow shade, which is a single pigment color. The fourth color that you see here is, now this is an interesting one. This is an older color again that they had. That's been around for a while now. The phthalocyanines, they're from the 1930s. But this chromium oxide green, or oxide of chromium, this is an older color. This would have been around in the 18th century, the 19th century. And you can see it's kind of an earthy yellow green. It's kind of an opaque green, whereas the phthalo colors are transparent, and it doesn't come out of the tube as dark. This is the color straight from the tube, and it has this kind of neutral, but it's still on the cooler side. It's not as much of a yellow green. It does lean to be a little bit more cool, and if you mix it with white, it definitely gives you kind of a duller, less intense color. This might be a good color for some landscape applications on like cloudy days, or to tone down cooler areas like mountains in the distance, things like that are still green but they look a little more gray and dull. It's an interesting color. I don't really use it a lot. I have a tube on hand in case I need it. But it is a nice color, especially in this straight from the tube. It's kind of this nice, cool, neutral, yellowish. Not quite an army green, but almost. Um, and then this last color that I have out here, which is the last. Oh, that's the chromium oxide green. This last color that I have out here, which is the last single pigment green, is this. Now, this is a very interesting color. It kind of is both a green and a yellow. And it's called green gold. It's pigment yellow 129, so it's actually classified as a yellow pigment, but it looks green when it comes out of the tube. Now, this is a very transparent color. It's kind of a weak tinter, but it's really wonderful quality. Comes in when you either glaze with it or you mix it with white. So watch what happens to this color when I mix white with it. It becomes this really beautiful, like olive yellow, gold green. It's often called green gold or gold green, golden green. It's just a really, really beautiful color. And that, again, that is a single pigment color, so I do recommend it. You can certainly add it to your palette. I know some artists swear by that color, but look at the color of that. Look how beautiful that is when you mix it with white. And you wouldn't necessarily guess that you'd get that color when you're looking at that. It's definitely a yellow, a warm sort of yellowish green. When you glaze with it, it takes on this beautiful sort of golden yellow quality. And the yellow becomes even more pronounced. So it's a great color to glaze with for that reason, because of that golden tone. You can warm up, landscapes or anything like that. So, but it has that same golden yellow glow to it when you glaze with it. So that's a really nice color that I really like a lot, that I find useful to keep on hand. I don't always put it out, but I do find it to be a color that I reach for on occasion. So now moving on to these last two colors. These are both mixed greens, which again I feel is a little unnecessary probably. Now if you're just starting out and you don't want to, you're unsure about color mixing and you don't want to be wasting paint, then I would recommend maybe starting with a small tube of these, because like I said, because the phthalo green, which is the most common green, is so intense, it can be hard to work with until you practice for a while. So the first color here is Winsor & Newton's sap green, which is a mixed green. But once you get working with oil paints and you get used, you'll be able to mix greens like this very easily on your own without having to go out and buy an extra additional tube of paint, to have this color. You'll be able to mix it from blue and yellow. So, but it's the sap green is a nice color. It's kind of a cooler. I believe it does contain phthalo green in it. It's a nice sort of warmish middle green. That does lean a little toward yellow, so you could use that in landscapes. It would be a nice green for that. And you can warm it up with the green gold or tone it down with a little black or blue. So that could be a useful color. So that's an option that you have. It's sap green from Winsor & Newton. Because this is a mixed color, Sap greens from other manufacturers wouldn't probably be quite the same, but this is the one that I found that I liked when I was first painting. And then the last one is Rembrandt's olive green, which is also an interesting color. This is actually a good color for backgrounds. If you mix it with a little transparent oxide red, it's a very transparent color. And you can see that it's a very, when I spread it out, kind of a dark, dull gray-green. But then when you mix it with white, it does have sort of a pleasing, sort of grayish, neutral quality to it. But it still definitely looks green, obviously, but it has a neutrality to it that's very pleasing. So this makes a good green for like a dark background mixed with other colors. It makes a good green for, you could do some foliage with it, and that might be a better green to start out with if you're a landscape painter, because it's not too intense and too cool, which is the problem with the phthalo green. But again, green is probably one of the trickiest colors to master. So the best way to get familiar with it is to play around with it, to experiment, to see what you can come up with. So this is some options for tubed greens that you can try, both single pigment and mixed. So that I hope that you found this video informative and helpful, as with my other color videos. And I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button so you won't miss the next video. And why not spread the joy? Be sure to share my videos on your favorite social media. Don't forget to head on over to my website, walcottfineart.com, where you can see my art, read my blog, or when you join my newsletter list, you can win free art. Every month, I'll choose a lucky winner for my email list, and that person will receive a mini original oil painting. There's a chance to win every month, so be sure to sign up today so you don't miss out. Plus, you'll get my fun newsletter. See you next time.